Okay, let's talk Abundance Tracker. So this is the Abundance Tracker. You can find it on our Living Well Now website under resources. You're gonna type in LWN Abundance for the password. And then when you get into the screen where it has all of the different sections, this is gonna be the top section, preparing. One of the links is the Abundance Tracker. So print this off. You're gonna want this for every year of your business, okay? So starting now. Do not neglect this. It's hugely important. I can't tell you how many people I have told at the beginning of their businesses to start filling it out, and they don't. And then they finally do, 7 or 8 months later. And then when they see what it's doing for their business, they're like, why haven't I been filling that out all the time? So we are just gonna do an example, and then you're gonna fill in your own numbers. So let's just pretend that currently you are a star, okay? Let's say that your OGV is 1,600. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna decide what you want your OGV to be for the following month. So I always tell people, if you are in that star range, it is not out of the question for you to grow 50%, 75% above and beyond what you are right now, okay? So let's just go with 50% growth, okay? So if you're at 1,600 OGV, and you want to grow by 50%. Okay, 50% of 1,600 is 800, so adding that 800 to the total, that would be 2,400. All right, so we're going to say your goal, we have 1,600 from the past month, goal is 2,400 for the new month, okay? And what you're going to do is figure out what your average PV per member was for this previous month. So for 1,600, what you just finished with. And so you do that by taking your OGV, the 1,600, and divide it by the PV, by the number of members on your team. So let's say that you have 20 members on your team. You're gonna divide that 1,600 by 20, and you're gonna see what you get. So that would be 80 PV per member, all right? 80 PV per member, great. So now you're gonna take that number, okay, whatever your PV per member is, and you're gonna divide that into your new OGV goal, all right? So you started with 20 people, we took 1,600 divided by the number of people. That's gonna give you your average PV per member. Now you're gonna take your new OGV goal and you're going to divide it by 80 PV, okay? Because that's gonna tell you how many people you need to get to 2,400. Do you see what we did there? Okay, so new OGV goal, now divide it by that 80 PV per member. And if I do that, if I do 2,400 divided by 80, that tells me I would need 30 people in my organization if everybody ordered about, on average, what they did the previous month, which I'll tell you that my average PV per member, it'll go up a little bit or come down a little bit, but it's pretty much the same, more or less, give or take a couple of dollars from month to month. So you can use this as a pretty good gauge. Okay, so you would need 30 people in your organization to get to 2,400 next month. Now you had 20 people last month. So that's how many more people? That's 10 more people that you need in your organization, okay, to get to your OGV goal, all right? So what you're going to do on here, okay, so you see the first thing is total number of members. So you're gonna put whatever, after doing this, whatever that total number of members goal is. So in this case, it would be 30 members is the goal, all right? And then the next thing on the list, it says help 5 and it says ER enroll. All this is this is a way, we learned from Young Living 2 years ago that people who were growing the fastest were the people who were enrolling and helping people get on Essential Rewards at a rate of 5 or more per month. So that could be 3 enrollments and 2 people getting on Essential Rewards. It could have been 2 enrollments and 3 people getting on Essential Rewards. Maybe the 2 people they enrolled in the month got on Essential Rewards, which gave them 4 points. enroll ER, enroll ER. And then let's say that one person that they enrolled, the month before got on Essential Rewards, okay? So 5. So basically in that help 5 area, all you're doing is what your goal is for number of points you want to get there. So I would say don't put less than 5, okay? Make it a goal to enroll 2 to 3 people and help 2 to 3 people get on Essential Rewards and to get to that 5 points number. But maybe your goal is to enroll 4 and help 4 people get on Essential Rewards. Right now, if you're watching this beginning of 2020, you know that there is a, what's it called? Level up and double up promotion going on right now. So if you help 4 people enroll and help them get on Essential Rewards in the same month, then you're getting the extra goodies from Young Living. So you might put down 8 points as your goal, right? That would be 4 enrollments and 4 Essential Rewards. So put whatever you want there under the help 5 category as your goal. Enrollers, okay? Difference between enrollees and enrollers. Enrollers is the person who is helping somebody else to enroll. They're the person doing the work. The enroller is the person building the business, or they're the customer that's loving their products and they share with a family member or a friend, right? So enrollers, you're putting down in that section how many people are going to be enrolling somebody else. How many people are going to be enrolling somebody else? I'm not asking you how many enrollments you have in that section. So enrollers, and you want to pay attention to that because your business is going to grow faster the more people you help to begin to enroll other people. So if we take this example, okay, there's 10 people that need to be added to your team this month if this is the scenario that you want, all right? So 10 people, you're not going to enroll all 10 of those people, right? So it's going to be you. Maybe you decide that your goal is to enroll 4 people this month. That still leaves 6 though, out of 10. So where are those other 6 enrollments going to come from? You got to look in your organization and say, okay, who is building a business? Also, who are the people in my organization who are loving their products that I could help to introduce, to their friends or family member this month? Does that make sense? So you're strategically coming up with who is going to be enrolling other people on your team. All right, so you're putting down the number of enrollers. So for you, if I was working on enrolling 10 people as a star, almost senior star, I would say, okay, my goal for the month is 4 people, and I'm gonna help 3 other people each enroll 2 people this month. All right, that would give you 10 enrollments. All right, so in that case, that would be 4 enrollers, yourself and 3 other people enrolling people. All right, then OGV. We'd already decided with the scenario that the OGV goal is 2,400. Average ER order, okay? This is something that you can look at by looking at all of the people who are on Essential Rewards, okay? Actually, you can do this if you have the Oily Tools app. It's going to tell you. It's one of the stats that they keep track of. There's the little zigzag line at the bottom of Oily Tools, and you can click on that, and it's going to tell you what your average ER per member is. If you don't have that, then you're going to look at the total number spent on Essential Rewards and then divide it by the number of people who are on Essential Rewards. Does that make sense? At those lower levels, star, senior star, this is probably gonna be pretty easy for you to do. If you're getting up into the executive level, you just need to have Oily Tools. I suggest people at the senior star level be using Oily Tools. And now I actually think it's free. I think it's free, okay? So you can just go to your app store and download Oily Tools. All right, let's see. We are at member percent ER. We did that. Oh, no, we didn't. So we did average ER order. Member percent on ER is how many people are on Essential Rewards on your team. So count up how many people are on Essential Rewards and divide that by the number of people on your team. So people on Essential Rewards, divide it by the total number on your team. That's going to give you a fraction, or it's going to give you a decimal, a percentage. That percentage is the percentage of people who are on Essential Rewards. So I'll tell you, at the star, senior star level, you want that percentage to be up above 50%. Okay, as your team grows and you don't have quite as much control over who is on Essential Rewards or not, you want to keep that percentage above 40%. A really good ER rate with Young Living is 40% or more. All right, so let's see. And then you can kind of guesstimate based on the things you're going to do and other people on your team are going to be doing, and the OGV, what your YL check is going to be. So you can kind of put a goal number down for that. And then if you have a rank goal for the month or another goal for the month, you can put that in that last section there. All right. But what you want to do is get with your team and anybody else on your team who's building a business, have them fill this out as well. This is super, super important. And then you want to make sure, looking at your calendar, do you have enough classes and meetups and things like that, and where you're supporting other people to have a class on your calendar for the next month to even support this goal? Hugely, hugely important. And if your average PV per member isn't that high, as you figured out what your average PV per member was, if it's not at least in the 70 to 80 category at those lower levels, this probably means that your team is needing more education. Either you need to work on your skills of helping teach people about essential rewards and introducing them to new products. Maybe it's getting them to continued ed classes or to an I Have My Oils Now What type of class. But if that PV is more in the 50 to 60 range, you know that they don't get the lifestyle yet. So you know that's an area that you want to work on. All right, so you're gonna keep this abundance tracker in a place where you will see it often, by a computer that you're using all of the time, on your mirror, okay? Whatever you want to do, but you want to make sure that you're keeping your goals in front of you. Writing your goals down is hugely important, and keeping it in front of you where you can see those goals, hugely important. You will love seeing what happens as you write these things down over the course of a year, over the course of 2 years, 3 years, all right? And I would encourage you to, in pencil, above the months, wherever you are putting your goal for senior star, executive, silver, gold, whatever it is, the date that you have as your goal for that, write it down above it and work backwards. Kind of see where your OGV will need to be at that month to get there. And then you can kind of work backwards 3 or 4 months to see where your OGV would need to be those previous months. I'm going to tell you this. I did not hit silver. The first time I wrote down goals was when I was a senior star. My big goal was getting to silver. Up to that point, I had not written down monthly goals. I had not used any strategy with my business like this. Once I wrote those goals down, it was so much more clear, and it was so much easier for me to get things on the calendar and to do the work because I knew exactly what I needed to do. It wasn't so much that I lacked motivation, it was that I lacked clarity in my goals. So hugely important, guys. Don't let these things float up in your head. Write them down, okay? You might need to go back and watch this a second time so you can work this through with your own numbers, but I encourage you, do the work. It's worth it. All right, guys, thank you. Hope you guys are having a good time and just learning a lot through this education. Bye-bye.